Everybody is buzzing about the wild potential of AI, right? But what we don't always talk about is the massive, and I mean massive, price tag hiding behind the curtain. The AI gold rush is definitely on, but as we're about to find out, a lot of companies are building their future on some pretty shaky financial ground. Okay, here's the number I want you to burn into your brain: 30%. According to the research firm IDC, that is how much the world's biggest companies are on track to underestimate their AI infrastructure costs. And look, this isn't just a rounding error, it's a colossal blind spot. And it's not just a number, you see. Jevin Jensen over at IDC puts it perfectly. He says, we are dealing with something completely new here. The old rulebook for IT budgeting, you can pretty much toss it out the window because it just doesn't apply anymore. And that is creating a huge financial risk for businesses that are going all in on AI. So let's really dig into this 30% miscalculation. This isn't just a case of bad math. It's more like bringing a baseball bat to a basketball game. The financial strategies that worked for decades in tech are now completely out of sync with the new reality of AI. And just to be super clear, this is a very specific and kind of sobering prediction. We're talking about the top 1,000 companies on the planet. And this isn't some short-term hiccup either. This trend is expected to stick around all the way through 2027, which means a whole lot of CIOs and CFOs are in for a very nasty surprise. So this brings us to what IDC is calling an infrastructure reckoning. You know, that moment when the true cost of AI finally smacks the balance sheet. And the heart of the problem is that AI spending, it doesn't act like a normal budget item. No, it behaves more like a living organism. And this comparison really says it all, doesn't it? Think about it. Traditional IT was like a blueprint. It was predictable, it was contained, you knew exactly what you were building. But AI, it's a whole different beast. It's probabilistic and it's expansive. It grows, it adapts, and it just eats up resources in ways you can't always see coming. And right here, this is where the budgets completely fall apart. The costs are nonlinear. So if you double the size of an AI model, you don't just double the cost. Nope. It can explode by 10 times. Plus, unlike a project that you can finish and sign off on, the inference workloads, that's the part of AI that's actually doing the thinking, they run constantly, 24/7, just burning through those super expensive GPU cycles. Now, to really get why the prices are so sky high, you gotta look at what the vendors are doing. The amount of money projected just to build the data center capacity for all our big AI dreams is, well, it's just mind-boggling. We're talking $8 trillion. That is not a typo. Trillion, with a T. You know, even top industry leaders like IBM's CEO Arvind Krishna are just shaking their heads at these numbers. I mean, when you spend $8 trillion on capital expenses, you have to generate absolutely astronomical profits just to break even. The math, as he says, just doesn't add up. So for any business trying to use this stuff, the situation is pretty clear. The tech giants, the cloud providers, what we call the hyperscalers, they have spent a fortune on this hardware. And now, well, now they have to get that money back. So they have no choice but to pass those costs on to you, the customer. High prices are just baked into the system, at least for the foreseeable future. Okay, so if AI spending is this chaotic, unpredictable, living thing, how on earth do you tame it? Well, the answer lies in a discipline that's becoming absolutely essential. It's called Finops. So what is Finops? It's all about bringing real-time financial accountability to this wild west of cloud and AI spending. So instead of, looking at a budget once a quarter, you have constant visibility into what you're spending and why, moment to moment. It's like managing your tech costs with the same intensity you'd use to trade on the stock market. And according to IDC, FinOps has officially moved from the nice-to-have category to absolutely mandatory. For any CIO out there who wants to get a handle on AI costs and actually invest in projects with real value, this is now a non-negotiable skill set. So getting into that FinOps mindset is step one. But what does that actually look like day to day? Let's walk through a little playbook for smarter AI spending. A huge piece of this is what's called right-sizing your investment. It's so tempting to just grab the biggest, most powerful AI model for everything, but honestly, that's like using a sledgehammer to crack a nut. The really smart move is to use smaller, more specialized models. You can even use clever techniques like quantization to shrink the models down without losing much accuracy. It's all about matching the right tool to the right task, not just defaulting to the most expensive one. Now, here's a question that every single IT leader should be asking themselves right now. You're paying a fortune for these powerful GPU nodes, but are you actually using them efficiently? And the surprising answer is probably not. It turns out that because of bad scheduling or just not having good workload management, a lot of these incredibly expensive GPUs are just sitting around idle for a good chunk of the day. Just by improving that orchestration, you can unlock massive cost savings without even touching performance. A few other smart plays here are all about giving you more control. Things like hybrid architectures, which stop you from getting locked into one super expensive provider. And it's not just the AI model itself, you have to make sure all the supporting systems, like monitoring and validation, are also running lean. Remember, every little piece of this puzzle adds to that final bill. So, after all this doom and gloom about costs, what does the future actually hold? Are AI costs just going to spiral up forever? Well, let's take a look ahead. It turns out there is some light at the end of the tunnel. The general feeling is that after 2027, the market is going to shift. As supply finally starts to catch up with this insane demand, GPU prices are probably going to come down, and the vendors who've already made their huge initial investments might start cutting prices to get more customers in the door and drive more volume. And this brings us to this really powerful, almost counterintuitive idea from IBM's Barry Baker. In this frantic rush to adopt every new AI tool, maybe the smartest thing you can do is just wait. Let the pioneers, the early adopters, absorb the massive costs and the mistakes of being first. Strategic patience lets you learn from their very expensive experience. And that's really the crucial question I want to leave you with. In this crazy AI gold rush where everybody feels this intense pressure to jump in right now, could it be that the most valuable asset isn't the biggest model or the fastest chip, but just having a little strategic patience? It's a critical thought for any leader trying to navigate this expensive, exciting new frontier.